Friends, good afternoon. I am Happy Teachers Day. I'm sorry, I was of the impression that it starts at 5:30. So I had asked, they said the class starts at 5:30, but I came to know later on that it is at 5:15. I could have come on time. I was waiting outside, on the top stair, ground floor. Doesn't matter, 10 मिनट इधर उधर हो सकता है. I'm sorry. We would start from exactly where you had left yesterday. I believe yesterday you concluded with increased volume. एक काम करो ना, वो मैं हाथ में पकड़ लेता हूँ. Yesterday, I think, again, is it okay? Increase volume. इसको कुछ करो. Okay now. Better. Okay. Completely fine. Fine. Okay. What happens? Yesterday, you ended with common sense and sociology. Exactly from there, what it starts is sociology, common sense, first chapter. Yeah. Exactly from there, we'll start why social research. Okay. While getting into it, before starting into this one, I believe you were told a question should have 3 parts. The part 1 is something like what you know and the examiner knows. That's a conventional reply, answer. And the second part, that is what you know and probably the examiner does not know. And the final part, very small, you can write, that is what you know and surely the examiner doesn't know. That's your own imagination, own thinking that you apply to have an extra edge over the other students. It's a competitive exam. Definitely, you would be writing an answer to have an extra edge. To start from there, I would say, I'll narrate one incident. I'll start with that. There is a place in Madhya Pradesh called change mic, you should not hold it for long time. I'll do it. Is it okay now? Okay, good. So there is a place, all good, great. There is a place in Madhya Pradesh called Bandhavgarh. Bandhavgarh is a wildlife sanctuary. Lots of tourists from all quarters of India come. Foreign tourists, a lot of foreign tourists also come. And this people's livelihood is based on that. Somebody with the resort, somebody with huts, somebody with rickshaw, somebody with vehicle, somebody with guiding, somebody with taking the people here and there, somebody running a pawn shop. No sound. No? Is it no sound? All good. Perfect now. So, one day, Tata company went to government of Madhya Pradesh, MP, and told that this Bandhavgarh forest, you give it to us. Whatever revenue you generate from this wildlife sanctuary, we will give you 4 times of that revenue for continuously for 25 years. We promise it today. You have to do nothing. You give the forest to us on a leasehold basis. We will run it. We will give you 4 times more the revenue that you are earning today. Madhya Pradesh government did a very wise thing. They discussed this with the cabinet, and the concerned MP was consulted. The concerned MP talked to the MLAs also, to Panchayat people also, to all other villagers also. The villagers told that if this forest goes to the Tatas, we will take in the hot summer, the बीड़ी बट्स विल थ्रो इनटू द जंगल, पूरे जंगल को हम राख कर डालेंगे. We will never allow our right to livelihood to anybody's hand, and we will not be going with a begging bowl to the Tatas to work there as their tourist guide, their collection of forest produce, their housekeepers of their hotels, their resorts. We will not do that. We are doing it independently with full right onto the forest. We will make this forest completely, turn it into ashes if our right over this forest is taken out. Chief Minister was wise enough to take this participatory approach in taking a decision and said no to Tatas. I'll give another instance. Tatas went to Orissa. Orissa has a big backwater lake called Chilka. Is a very big natural backwater lake. And on this lake, 1.5 lakhs fishermen family, they maintain their livelihood not only in terms of catching fish, but also preparing nets, making boats, transporting it, exporting it, buying it, selling it. Everything of these villagers through generations have been based on this water. But during those days, Janki Vallabh Patnaik was the chief minister. But he agreed that it will be given to Tatas. And Tatas were given. Tata started their work. But villagers, they were very, very unhappy. They protested and fought it tooth and check my internet connection. There is an audio video lag. हाँ अच्छा अच्छा ठीक है. So present chief minister's father, Biju Patnaik, Naveen Patnaik's father, Biju Patnaik gave a lead to the villagers that this is very unfair. It should not be allowed. This government is selling off your right over water. Tribals have a right on the forest. Fishermen have a right over water. These rights are organic rights. These rights are indigenous rights. No amount of modern law cannot take away the right of the tribals over the forest, because they have been enjoying this organic right over generations. They cannot be taken away. So people were instigated. There was a big protest. The protest went. Finally, election came. Janki Vallabh Patnaik was defeated. So, Biju Patnaik formed the government. What he did? He did something like a joint venture and said it's a government project where 51% share will be of government of Orissa and 49% will be with Tatas. And Tatas will put mechanical trawler and they will catch lots of prawns. These prawn processing industries will be set up. Fridging complex will be set up. Lot of people will get job and they will be government job. They will be getting it. This trick was understood by few students of Utkal University from Bhubaneswar. They gave a report saying that organic right cannot be taken away. It has to be given to them. And a big march was organized against the Tatas. And Tatas backed out, did not take Chilka as their project. Halfway, they left. I'll give another instance which you know. Like examiner surely knows, may not know, and definitely do not know. This one, Singur, is definitely the examiner know. That is, after doing agriculture, rural development for 30 long years, the then Chief Minister, Buddhadev Bhattacharya of West Bengal thought, we have done enough with agriculture. We have done enough with agriculture. Enough employment is not generating through agriculture. It is not generating through agriculture. So now we should go for industry. So for doing industry, what is to be done? We have to invite industrialists. If industrialist from India is to be called, whom to be called? Tatas, the most socially responsible corporate citizen of the country, most revered, most respected, highly esteemed Tata sons. They should be called. So Tata was called. Buddhadev Bhattacharya showed 2,500 acres of land near Kharagpur, where IIT exists, near Kharagpur on Bombay Highway, and showed this is a rocky soil, good for industry, and Kharagpur to Calcutta is not very far. It is just 1 hour 30 minutes. You do the industry here. Ratan Tata said, no, not here. I have to give it, you have to give it to me near Calcutta, very near to Calcutta, and on the bank of river. He said, Singur, on the bank of river Hooghly, just aside is Durgapur Expressway. Here you can give me half the land. It's okay. I can do it. You know, the so-called Sonar Bangla, the concept is from this place on the bank of river Hooghly. South, North 24 Parganas and Hooghly are the place from where Sonar Bangla concept comes. तीन फसली, दो फसली जमीन, good, fertile land. When crop grow up, it looks like सोना. धान जब पक जाता है सोना जैसा लगता है, तो इसीलिए कहते हैं सोनार बांग्ला. People said no. Buddhadev Bhattacharya said no, there will be resistance because it is a double cropping land on the bank of river Hooghly. People will resist. Bola no. If you want to give me, give it to me. Otherwise, Rajashekar Reddy is calling me. Present Jagan Mohan Reddy's father. Rajashekar Reddy is calling me. He will give me in Andhra Pradesh. Presently, it's coming under Telangana. Buddhadev Bhattacharya had no other alternate because industry is required. He is unable to generate employment. Under compulsion, he gave it to Ratan Tata. And you know the result. A leader emerged. Leader was there, but not to this extent as she is today. She fought along with the villagers tooth and nail. She was on 22 days fast unto death in front of Dharamtalla's Kesidas Rasgulla, and he was almost finished. She was taken to the hospital, NRS, where she was given treatment. She became all right. Finally, when the election came, overwhelmingly, this 34 long years red citadel was smashed. And smashed forever. For the last consecutive 3 elections, they are unable to come. Who is the villain? Ratan Tata. But what common sense says? Ratan Tata Tatas are the most socially responsible corporate citizen of this country. Name aviation, name Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, name Tata Institute of Social Science, Mumbai, Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, Mumbai, Tata Football Academy, Tata Rural Development Academy, Tata Management Research, Pune. Name any. They are the first company to give maternal leave to the employees, women employees, when government of India did not have. That is the impression, common sense. But professional research gives something else, that Tatas violated human right in Chilka, in Singur, and were going to violate human right in Bandhavgarh as well. Tata used through Nira Radia some unfair practices, violation of human right. So, what I mean to say is common sense gives rise to certain hypotheses which, when proved or disproved, give rise to a kind of a finding which enriches the discipline. That is what I wanted to. So where you were left yesterday. Common sense gives you some findings which are very unique, which help in enriching the discipline. It helps in giving a hypothesis. You assume, you presume, whatever it is, then try to prove or disprove. That's how common sense helps. I'll give you 1 or 2 more examples and then shift to the topic. A concept studied by George Ridger. The book must have been recommended to you for social thinkers. Ridger studied McDonald and his finding of McDonaldization. It is a completely professional input. McDonaldization for synonym to efficiency, calculability, responsibility, etc. But this McDonaldization became an input for public discussion. McDonaldization culture, merits, demerits, etc. We always talk of McDonaldization. It was a professional input. Similarly, public discussion we have seen. So, public discussion give rise to professional research. Professional research input give rise to public discussion. So, common sense and social research are complementary to each other. And that is why it's a debate. You are not taught the second chapter, sociology as science, is a positivism versus non-positivism. Positivists are Durkheim and non-positivists are many. Positivists are also many. Basically Durkheim and Weber. When we will be studying it, it will be very clear. So today we will start with something like positivism, quantitative. From there, gradually we will go to qualitative, then variable, sampling, etc. Now you don't have to write anything. In quantitative method, what we will study? We will study what is quantitative, what are the various types of quantitative methods, 3 types of quantitative method. You can start writing now. 3 types of quantitative method. One is contact-based quantitative method. You, as an investigator, contact the respondent and collect data. And this contact-based method can be of 3 types. 1 contact, 2 contacts, more than 2 contacts. Again, contact-based method can be of 3 types based on 1 contact, 2 contacts, more than 2 contacts. A reference period based method. Quantitative, what is quantitative method? Will come, it's just started. Can you repeat the example? Tata TIS are so ahead in research. Yeah, that is what I'm telling. There is the common sense which says it is ahead. There is also a professional input that it has what it did in Chilka, what it did in Bandhavgarh, what it did in Singur. That has to be investigated, then only we will find. Simply with a common perception, don't go ahead. IISc, Bangalore, Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, Tata Institute of Social Science, etc., etc. What is quantitative method? We are coming. What is quantitative method? Then reference period based. The respondent is given a reference period for which he is asked question and response is elicited and findings are analyzed. That is reference period based. Third one is nature of investigation based. What is the type of investigation you are taking care of? It could be experimental. It could be non-experimental. It could be quasi-experimental. These are the 3 types. Reference period based. It will come. Gradually it will come. Don't be in a hurry. Not that just said and quantitative method is over. Not like that. Second one is reference period based. That is, the participant or the respondent is asked about a particular period, time period, that on such and such period, during such and such period, what was war, this. things. That is reference period. A particular time is referred. Of that time, question is asked. And nature of investigation based are of three types: experimental, non-experimental, and quasi-experimental. Then we will look into advantages and disadvantages of quantitative methods. That's all about quantitative methods. What is quantitative method? What are the types of quantitative methods? What are the advantages and disadvantages of quantitative method? Now, let us come one by one. What is quantitative? Somebody was asking. The one which is qualitative is quantitative. So simple, isn't it? What is a man? The one who is not woman is a man. It's not so simple. Anyway, it is very simple also. I'll tell you one instance. Suppose somebody is asked about crime against women in India, and the reply is, रातों में पल रही है, सड़कों पे चल रही है, क्यों बाल खोले दहशते यहाँ. A song sang by Kortulin Baloch in film Pink. Kari kari ran sari, saw andhere kyun aayi. Wonderfully described about Dahshat means terror is marching on the roads in the night. They are being nurtured and women are terrorized. It's also a description of crime against women. It's something poetic. It's something qualitative. It's something, there is something philosophic also. तितलियों की पंखों पर रख दिए गए पत्थर है खुदा तू गुम है कहाँ. It's philosophic description. It's poetic description. It is qualitative description. Let's say, for example, somebody is asked, how was your barista coffee? Somebody says, wow, refueling yourself. Wonderful. They're not quantitative. If he is asked, if I ask you to rate barista mocha coffee in 1 to 10 scale, where do you put it? You say 7. Then it is quantitative. Similarly, crime against women, when is asked and somebody says, the problem is depicted in quantity. Example, a total of 4,05,861 cases of crime were recorded against women in 2019, which is an increase of 7.3% over 2018. It's also a depiction of crime against women. That's also a depiction of a crime against women, that terror is marching on the road and being nurtured in the night, and nobody is taking care of it. Women are terrorized. Both are depiction of crime against women. If the second one is quantitative, the first one is not quantitative. It is something very qualitative. Yes, the one which is not qualitative is quantitative, but there is a difference. So now we proceed on to the next. Sir, do we need to write down or it will be provided handouts? I will prefer you write it down. I'll also tell you, you'll be given with the handouts. And I will also tell you, you don't have to refer IGNOU, PV Young, Goodenhut, Bajpayee, Kothari, nothing. Just note it, have it, and just before the exam, today you are listening to it, it will be there. Just before the exam, just have a look at these headings: contact based, reference period based, nature of investigation based. This thing you have in your mind here, Just before the exam, go and check it and write whatever you want to write. Keep on writing. There will be a structure I'll be giving. Narrate the method. Give an example. Give advantage and disadvantage. That's all. Your answer is over. Then your imagination. Okay. So let's proceed. We have talked about what is which chapter? This is third chapter, research methodology. You just note it down. Don't ask for yellow book, green book. I told you, don't have to refer anything. Believe me, you don't have to refer anything. Any book. Have these notes. This will be your last minute suggestion. Keep it. Have a look at it and write with your own imagination. That's all. Let's come to the next. Contact based. One contact. This is a cross-section study. This is called a cross-sectional study. What is a cross-section? Those of you in 11th, 12th read science must be knowing. You are given a stem, you are given a sharp blade, you take a cross-section of it, put it below the microscope, check it. What is it? It is a simple proportion of the total stem you are taking. Similarly, when you, in sociology, go for studying a particular population, what you do? You take a proportion based on your objective. Say, for example, your objective is to study smoking habit of rural college going boys. What you will do? You will take a cross section. They should be from rural area. They should be in the college. They should be boys. These three combined together will be your cross section, and will take a proportion for study. This kind of a study where you take a proportion and contact them once, it is called cross-section study. One-time contact-based study of a cross-section of the population, of a section of the, leave it if cross-section seems little technical, a section of the population which are your targeted population. It's called cross-sectional study in sociology. Smoking habit amongst college-going rural adult males. Okay. What are the features? Feature is assess prevailing condition of the respondent with one contact. You assessing the present condition with one single contact. That is the special feature of it, single contact. Cross-sectional study is a single contact-based study of a proportion of the population of the total. Now the second part will come, advantages and disadvantages. What is the advantage? It allows strategists to quickly collect actionable data that helps in decision making and offering services. Just first note it down, I'm telling. A study was conducted at Film City in Noida. Those who are used to Noida or Delhi NCR region, there is a Film City in Noida where you will find lots of films and television institutes. Marwa Films and Television Institute, Asian Academy of Films and Television, World something, lots of institutes. Either somebody is into acting, somebody into production, someone into anchoring, somebody into young boys and girls are flooded in that film city. And there are lots of छोटे छोटे जगह में people are sitting over there. Advantages, I am talking on advantages only. So these people will go there and they will take cigarette, smoke. It was found at a point of time, it's flooded with young boys and girls, all with cigarettes in hand. A cross section, of this population was studied to find out why these people are in the film city smoking so much. They were asked, a cross-sectional study was conducted. These boys and girls were asked, why do they smoke so much? How many they smoke? What is the special reason that why they smoke so much? They said, क्लास से निकलते ही एकदम दरवाजे पर बैठा हुआ है, पी लेते हैं एक. So the actionable strategy that came to the authorities' mind, that these features is that it is a one contact. Somebody is asking, please say the features. Let me give you note it down. Simply take this panwalas from this area. None, because in the educational institutes, 2 kilometers vicinity, there will not be any panwala. No cigarette can be sold. No gutka can be sold. Next day, Noida authorities vehicle came and cleared them out. There are certain offices also. Office employees do smoke. They said, well, what happened? Chale kahan gaye? No, there was a study conducted which showed, students said, a cross-section of the students were asked, why you smoke so much, or students smoke so much? No, there is so plenty available just at the doorstep. After the class, we come out and take a cigarette and smoke. So the actionable strategy is simply shut these shops and people smoking will be less. That is what a cross-section study is. It helps in collecting actionable data that helps in decision making. It's very quick. It's a very quick shot. What is the disadvantage? The respondent is not being observed over a period of time. So causal relationship. So the causal relationship may not be true. You one shot asked people just to avoid. They said, दुकान है तो मिल जाता है तो पी लेते हैं. That may not be the reason. The kind of competition that prevails in the world of journalism, in the world of film, TV acting, production, might be a reason that they vent out their depression. Might be, I do not know. That never gets vented. That could be one of the reasons, but that is ignored. It is a one-shot study. Within one shot, without observing what exactly the reasons are for a period of time, how can you come to a conclusion that yes, because the shops are there, so people are smoking? There are people who don't smoke, even if there are shops at the doorstep. How can you say it, yes, this is the reason? There are certain problems such. This is the biggest problem, that cross-section is not that cannot be correct. Okay. Now come the second type of contact-based, that is two contacts. It is called before after. What it is? It measures efficiency of a particular scheme or a particular kind of an intervention that is being done. Say, for example, during Honorable Prime Minister, ex-Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh's time, one program was launched. It's a very innovative kind of a program. Many programs were launched to that matter. Say midday meal, say Manrega, say smart class, whatsoever. Many programs were launched. Now, you want to make an assessment to what extent Manrega fulfilled its objective. What were the objectives? Manrega will give right to livelihood. Manrega will give arrest out migration from rural area to urban area. Manrega will improve the quality of life. With the quality of life, the villagers' children will be put into education. You can do many things. Labor exploitation, etc., can be stopped. So now you do not know exactly how to assess efficiency or efficacy, to what extent this kind of a program helps. So what you do, you make two contacts. Before introducing a program, you take a study, make a study, you call it a baseline data you collect. What was the present economic status? What is the feeling of this person? What is he doing? How much he is earning? All these things. You collect the data. Then Manrega, you introduce there. After introduction of Manrega, giving 100 days of work to the villagers for a period of 2 years, you go there, again talk to the people and see how it has happened. What is the change that has come? This particular change before Manrega and after Manrega, it is the contribution or bad impact of Manrega. Bad or good, whatever impact has come, that will go to Manrega. This is, don't worry, features will be opened again. This is a kind of assessing the impact of a particular kind of intervention. Similarly, I can tell you another. Introduction of smart class. A smart class concept is introduced. Before smart class, what exactly was the attendance? What exactly was level of participation of students inside the class? What exactly was the performance of students in the exam? How was the level of talent or knowledge has changed over a period of time? All this you can say that it is because of introduction of smart class in the village or in a particular area. So this is a kind of a before-after study. What are its advantages? It helps in measuring efficacy of an intervention. To what extent it is effective? You can do it. What are the disadvantages? Obviously, when you are making one contact and when you are making two contacts, when you go for compare it with one contact, obviously it is time consuming. It may so happen that when you did a baseline, the participants who were there, and when you go for evaluation in the end term survey, what you find? Some of them are not there. Some people, girls got married and shifted to some other places. Husband shifted, they shifted. They shifted because of some other reason, not for livelihood. All these factors could be there. You may not get those respondents whom you found during the baseline. They may not be there when you are doing the end term. You may lose study population. there is a possibility of external influence. See, you have found that efficacy, correct? You have found that standard of living has gone up. Okay. Possibility of external influence. It may so happen the standard of living has gone up, but it may not be necessarily for Manarega impact. May not be. Might be a girl from the family got a job in between. Might be a girl from the family got a job to the city and sending money to father, to mother, to their family, to financing younger brothers' education. That could be the standard of living increased because of that. But what you are doing, you are just looking into the standard of living increased or not. And you are saying because Manrega was introduced within a period of 2 years, the gentleman has increased his quality of life in terms of sending the child to the school and then going for medical treatment, then making a house and buying a cycle, something you are telling. But not necessarily, you did not inquire what your daughter is doing, how much money he is sending, what are other contributions, that you did not look into. Might be it was not because of Manrega, might be that he has started a bit of kitchen garden at the back end. And that kitchen garden is giving his food security. Leaves and legumes are coming. A small goat is kept. Goat is giving milk or being sent मीट के लिए बेच रहे हैं, उससे कमाई हो रही है. सब कुछ हो सकता है. Simply, you are not looking into the possibility of external influences over there. So this two contact based before and after study is not without disadvantage. What are the two basic disadvantages? It is time consuming. You may lose study population and there could be a possibility of external influence. Clear so far? Yes. Now, the third one is longitudinal study. Longitudinal study. More than two contacts. It is also called action research. You keep on contacting at a specific interval of time. I'll give you a very famous example of this longitudinal study or action research done by, you must have heard very recently, very widely discussed, randomized control trial, RCT, by Nobel laureate Abhijit Banerjee. What he did, he got funding from various sources. He simply said, I want to make an experiment, an action research, that nothing will be given in kind. We will give to the poorest of the poor cash. And I will give this cash component regularly for a period of 10 years. I want to do this study. Ford Foundation, McNamara Fellow, Rockefeller Foundation, Roadstar Foundation, many foundations. He says, I do not know why did they trust me so much and gave me so much of fund. I started doing all this in African countries, also in India. And he wanted to see that with this kind of a cash minding, to what extent they are elevated to increase their standard of living. Originally it is said, common sense says, इन लोगों के हाथ में पैसा दे दो, दारू पी के उड़ा देंगे. अभिजीत बनर्जी सेड नो, हम देखे ही देखें फिर बोले कि पैसा मिलने से दारू पी के उड़ा देते हैं. Not that I will give 1 shot or 2 shot, I'll give them for 10 years to observe to what extent poverty in that particular locality is mitigated or not. And several countries were selected and poverty-stricken areas were selected and cash was given. And several contacts were made several times at a specific interval of time. And finally, he came to a conclusion that people, when get a cash, they use it productively as per their own decision making, and they take judicious decision in terms of their education, in terms of their health, in terms of their recreation, in terms of their increasing the standard of living through income, education, health, etc., etc. And it proved so. Of course, he got Nobel Prize for that, randomized controlled trial action research. And he had proposed, quote unquote, that particular scheme which just before 2000, I think, 19 election, Congress said, Nyay, NA, something like that, Nyay, where he said, I will give 7,500 rupees to the below poverty line population. And nobody believed. Huh. This is an election propaganda. That was not an election propaganda. Abhijit Banerjee says, I had suggested 2,500 rupees to the BPL population, below poverty line population. I do not know why the Congress manifesto turned it to 7,500. And it was said that we will give 7,500, and nobody believed. And ultimately, they lost the election. But pandemic proved otherwise. Now, government is doing the same job. But that's not our concern. Our concern is it's a longitudinal study, it's an action research over a period of time, more than 2 contacts, you give intervention, measure it, again give intervention, again measure it, and finally you see to what extent. No, repeat the conclusion नहीं. अभी मैं फिर से तुम्हें अभिजीत बनर्जी का केस समझाऊं क्या? देख लेना. Several contacts and money was given, and several contacts found that yes, it is helpful. That is not our concern. Whether NAI program was good or bad, Abhijit Banerjee did good or bad, that's not our concern. Our concern is longitudinal study, more than 2 contacts, you give intervention, meet several times population, collect the data, and then analyze them to infer to a conclusion as to whether this particular program is good or bad. Impact of another example. Now, forget about अच्छा प्रोग्राम नेम नहीं, उसको जानना जरूरी नहीं है. लॉन्गिट्यूडनल स्टडी देखो ना भाई. Another example I am giving. An NGO works in rural area to study, rural area for improvement of maternal and child health. What do? They immunize expectant and pregnant mothers. They give nutritious food to the newborn child or children, infants up to age 5. They do so. They wanted to have a study that if we give this particular intervention to children with third-degree malnutrition. What is third-degree malnutrition? Thin-built, emaciated, belly coming up, highly vulnerable to diseases. Such children are brought and they are given homemade cereals, चावल, गेहूं, सब्जी को फ्राई कर दाल को फ्राई करके कूट के half cooked. Only mothers are asked, you just boil it a little bit with put sugar, because up to 5 years of age, if a child gets simple carbohydrates, nothing else is required. Believe me, when I was in rural area, when I saw this, when my child was born, I said, no Nestum, no Cerelac, nothing doing. Let me try with मुरमुरा को पीस के उसमें थोड़ा चीनी डाल के पानी डाल के दे के देखते हैं. And believe me, along with her, our relatives who are so much so feeling proud that we give Nestum, we give Cerelac, we give Glaxo something. Hundreds of rupees are being spent, and this मुरमुरा पीस के थोड़ा चीनी और पानी डाल के, she was so healthy. People used to say, Ari, what she eats? And she eats nothing. Because the pediatrician told only carbs help up to 5 years. After 5 years, you need proteins, minerals, vitamins, blah, 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 so many things. But till then, this is more than enough. So this is a kind of a longitudinal action research study findings for which you need to have several contacts. Now, changes are considered to be because of this particular intervention. This is longitudinal study. Then finally, our structure is, we'll come to advantages and disadvantages. Keep this framework in mind. I will explain it, that more than 2 contacts. I'll give an example, maybe randomized control trial, maybe nutrition intervention, maybe smart class, maybe smoking habits, whatsoever. Last frame, please. Move to the last slide. Advantage, I'm moving it. Measures the pattern of changes. When you give nutrition, obviously, you will see the changes. I'm just talking of nutrition. That you measure the child's mid-arm circumference. चौड़ाई बढ़ा या नहीं. अगर बढ़ गया, बच्चा is healthy. ये नहीं, ये तो already खराब था ही. Mid-arm circumference. Weight बढ़ा या नहीं. These are the things. Similarly, what randomized control trial Mr. Abhijit Banerjee measured? He measured whether their child has started going to school or not. When there is an episode of illness, they are going to a quack, they are going to a doctor, or they are going to ये करके गोमूत्र, ये मूत्र, वो मूत्र करके खत्म हो जाते हैं या नहीं. When you have little bit of money, you will not be superstitious. हो सकता है, ऐसी बात नहीं है, but presumably you will go to a physician. You will not take advice of local when your poor man's, he doesn't have money, he will go to a local dai. अब क्या करना है, वो बोलेगा ज्यादा से ज्यादा घी पिलाओ, there will be an easy delivery. ऐसा नहीं होता है. The mother needs to be immunized. Nutritious food, not ghee, something else, properly focused. That a physician can give good advice, isn't it? So he found it that health-seeking behavior, education-giving behavior, what is called livelihood-seeking behavior, they changed over a period of time when people were given with cash. That is the things they found. Disadvantage? All studies cannot be funded by McNamara, Rhodes, Ford Foundation, World Bank, WHO, where there is huge funding and action research is going on a very long period of time. Highly trained professionals are doing. Always doesn't happen. Getting fund from UNICEF, UNDP, World Bank, WHO, Ford Foundation, McNamara, it's a hell of a task. इतना पैसा तो मिलता नहीं है. क्विक शॉर्टिस क्रॉस सेक्शन स्टडी करो और बोलो कि ये दुकान है तभी लोग सिगरेट पी रहे हैं, इसको बंद करो. So it is expensive, it is time consuming, and there could be a drop of participant. This is very important. When you go for a longitudinal study over a period of time, the person might have left, migrated somewhere else. The person might have passed away through an accident. The person, the lady got married and in Indian condition, they goes to in-laws house and she has shifted. Drop of participant. This is another disadvantage. So this is the end of contact-based. Contact-based are of three types: cross-sectional, before-after, longitudinal. Cross-sectional is one contact, before-after is two contacts, longitudinal is three contacts. You give example, you give advantage, you give disadvantage. Finish. Contact-based is over. Now come to reference period. Somebody was Hakim, yes, quack. Hindi is Hakim, correct. Reference period based. So it is a time frame for which respondents are asked to report activities. I said, you ask of a time period. When you are, let's say you are asking about, you are doing a study about lung cancer, or let's say acute respiratory infection and smoking habits. You want to see how ARI, acute respiratory, dama जिसको फेफड़े में कालेपन, सांस की तकलीफें, वो कैसा होता है when people smoke. You want to take a study like this. What you will do? You'll simply go and tell them, during the last 1 year, in the year 2000, say let us last 6 months from January 2021 to August 2021, how many times you used to smoke per day? What is your reference period? January 2021 to August 30th, 2021, this 6 months to you is a reference period. You refer that, starting from that till to yesterday or till a particular date of 31st August, and try to see those who smoke more, whether they have incidences of more acute respiratory infection or not. So this is a kind of a reference period study. The period starts at some point in the past, reference, and ends at the time of survey. Example I gave, smoking and lung cancer. Don't give it lung cancer. We sociologists normally would not be getting into so deep a study of studying lung cancer. You can say asthma. You can say respiratory trouble, all these things. And the study population is asked about smoking habit during the last 1 year or the reference period that you are studying. Having given this example, what is now our target? We have to give advantages and disadvantages. That is the demand of your exam. This is the structure I'm giving you, and always follow in mind in research methodology. First, I will explain the phenomena, then I will give an example. Without example, the examiner will not be convinced. I'll give an example, then I'll give advantages and disadvantage. My answer is over. The question could be how many times? That is what I said. It's a kind of a retrospective survey. Retrospective study, you call it retrospective in the past. In the past, how many times you smoked? So it is called retrospective. It is not prospective. पीछे चले जाते हैं. So it is called retrospective. Last slide. मिल जाएगा. दे दिया. So reference period is a kind of a retrospective study, past period study. It will come one by one, examples will come. Wait. What is the advantage? Outcome can be rare in nature. See, when you are studying a smoking habit, and I'll give you another example. Often, it may so happen that people will complain, whatever we earn, it is all spent. We cannot meet, both the ends meet together on the day of 20th of the month, we find there is no money. So one study can be initiated as to what exactly is the condition that here people are not able to meet both the ends together. What is the spending pattern? You ask that within last 3 years, where your income went in. I bet, those who earn in a government job, good job, earning a good salary, doing everything fine, they find their earning is running short. Maybe the finding is that they spend hell amount on mobile, अपना, वाइफ का, बच्चों का. रोज नया वर्षन आ रहा है, रोज वर्षन खरीद रहे हैं, रोज हजारों में जा रहा है. And ultimately, where from the money will come? It's a fascination. And why this fascination come? Neighbor is buying, but they do not realize the neighbor is working in corporate sector where as a part of perk, what do you call PERK, perk. Perks they are given every year a mobile entitlement of 50,000. Every year you don't need a mobile. When you get one more, you give it to your son. Next year again, you replace your old one. Next year another, you replace your wife's. Next year another, you replace your daughter's. It keep on replacing, and it's an impact on the neighbor. Then they keep on changing iPhone this to that. So this is a kind of a retrospective study you are making. Not only smoking, even this spending on electronic gadgets. You can make a retrospective study. Anyway, advantage, outcome can be rare. What just I gave an example. Outcome is looking at the neighbor. Lots of electronic gadgets are being purchased, and the neighbors, unfortunately, the neighbor has an entitlement to get. It's not I am telling out of the blue. I worked in a corporate sector. One day I said, why are they giving every year a laptop, every year a mobile, every year this? What do I do with so many laptops? I keep on giving, distributing in my village. इतना बड़ा महादानी तो मैं हूं नहीं, हाथ से उतना पैसा निकलता भी नहीं है, क्या ना फोकट में मिला खरीद के मैं 50,000 किसी को दे दिया, होता नहीं है. You know, these corporates have a tie-up with the another corporate like HP, Dell or something like that, and they keep on giving perks. अरे भैया उससे पैसा दे देना, जेब में रहेगा, साल 50,000 दे दे, मैं बैंक में रख दूंगा, मैं क्या करूंगा. फोन तो फोन है, ऑपरेट करना आता नहीं है, हर साल दिए जाता है कंपनी, क्या करेंगे इतना फोन देके. Even believe me, some people, they do not have a fascination for changing phones. Even children do not have a fascination. If I give to somebody, they say, what do I do? My phone is working well. I don't need. मैंने रोड साइड दर्जी है, उनको बोला मुल्ला जी ले लेंगे. अरे भैया वो फोन लेके मैं क्या करूंगा, मुझे उसको चलाना नहीं आता है. So it's a liability sometimes, but क्या बोलता है ना, किसका neighbors envy, owners pride kind of a thing work. Others who do not get, they get influenced by it. And such a retrospective study will come out with a unique finding that, yeah, because of this, such and such spending habit is developed, as a result of which, at the end of the month, their shortage is running short. Anyway, what are the disadvantages? Difficult to establish a link and poor control over the exposure factor. Sorry. You cannot establish a link that, well, because he was smoking 10 cigarettes a day, so he is suffering from asthma. Along with him, another fellow smokes 20 cigarettes a day, completely hen and hearty. Along with him, somebody else is taking khatak. Nothing happened. No gum cancer, no nothing. Nothing happened. So, making a direct link always is not very scientific. This is the biggest, and you do not have a control of the external factor. You are not looking into the external factor. Like I said, the girl is remitting money, not necessarily that it's because of what do you call मनरेगा impact. बेटी अच्छा कमाती है, पैसा भेजती है, चलता है. Now, nature of investigation based. Link matlab correlation. Correlation between smoking and asthma or linking cancer cannot be scientific. It could be, yes, because we have seen those who smoke more, they have a respiratory trouble. So I conclude there is a relation between, correlation between, instead of link, you can call it, there is a effect relation, right? Unique in the sense you can find many unique, like what I was telling, nature of investigation. Let's come one by one. Now, so far, so good. We have discussed 2 points, contact based, which are again cross sectional. Then, बोलो मेरे को याद नहीं आ रहा है. 3 types. Whatever it is. हाँ, क्रॉस सेक्शनल यहाँ बोल रहे हैं, बिफोर आफ्टर, गुड, वेरी गुड. Then longitudinal, more than 2 contacts. These are the 3. Now is the nature of investigation based. Non-experimental, experimental, and quasi-experimental. Okay, let's come one by one. Non-experimental. It studies a social phenomena and tries to understand a causal relationship. It is, for example, students' performance in the class. It is non-experimental. I'm just seeing student performance inside the class. I'm not experimenting it. Whatever it is, I'm just studying it. It is non-experimental. It is also of 3 types. Cross-sectional. Cross-sectional study is a kind of non-experimental study. Why it is called, why not cross-sectional? Why it is called non-experimental? Exactly when sociology is applied in health system research, they adopt this word called non-experimental. They study a health particularly, but nowadays it is also adopted in education. Taking a cross section and measuring the performance to establish a causal relationship. You take a cross section of the population and try to measure it. You call it cross sectional. We have already discussed about it. Now, when the nature of investigation is of 3 types, experimental, non-experimental, and quasi-experimental, I am talking here the non-experimental. Non-experimental is of 3 types. That is, one is cross-sectional. Second one is no, not in longitudinal study. We are not talking of reference period. We are giving a particular intervention and assessing the state. Oh, yes. Good question. Very good question. I should. Thank you. Can there be a zero contact based study? Yes, there is. In the days of virtual world, it's a zero contact classroom. Virtual contact classroom. Similarly, there could be a virtual contact survey. I'll give you one. When virtual contact or zero contact studies are conducted, this is asked. This is not that because of internet world, this is being done. Long ago, when there was no internet, there was also, thank you, I will incorporate it in my, this one, zero contact. Zero contact during those days used to happen. There was a magazine called Caravan. C-A-R-A, I think C-A-R-A-V-A-N, Caravan. Caravan used to have the last leaf where there would be 1 or 2 questions. And they specifically, Caravan used to study sexual health of young adults. They will be giving one envelope also prepaid. Simply, you don't have to give your identity. Simply tear that leaf, simply take that envelope out, fill up. 1 or 2 or 3 maximum questions will be given there. You fill it up related to certain sexual practices. Put it in the envelope, paste it, your name, identity, nothing is there, and drop it in the, during those days, Indian postal services were very efficient till today. Today also they are there. And it will simply go, and Caravan used to give unique findings. When you have to do something which is a private study, which is very secret study, you do such zero contact. Sir, do we need to include it in our notes? So this is a zero contact in the sense, you put it in the envelope, drop it in the post box, लाल रंग का. Post box हमेशा लाल रंग का ही होता है. Have you ever seen a white color post box? Must not have. Why it is red color? Because English people designed it. Actually, our civilization all imported from England. England में बर्फ पड़ता है. If you ever go to any city of England, say London, you will still find that red color post box. बर्फ पड़ता है ना, लाल दिखता है, white नहीं दिखेगा. So you put that one there, and Caravan used to give out unique, rare findings about sexual practices. Zero contact. Thank you. So cross-section, then non-experimental, correlational. Those of you who are from science background must be knowing correlation coefficient. What is correlation coefficient? You take 2 variables, let's say level of education and use of contraceptives, and you correlate these 2 variables. You can find maybe with the increase of educational level, contraceptive uses are increasing. With the increase of income level, contraceptive uses are increasing. There is a direct proportion between education and use of contraceptive services. It's a correlation. So this is a, first one was cross-sectional study. Second one is correlation study. 2 variables are correlated to find out whether it is directly related or it is inversely related. Directly proportional or inversely proportional. कभी-कभी ऐसा होता है कि when income goes up, number of children come down. When education go up, number of children comes down. Educated people, well-off people, they have less number of children. Why? They're educated, they're well-to-do, they know a child born today in my family, until and unless there is an accident, I can go for best of the doctors, best of the diseases, best of the educational facilities. Why should I go for women? They are enlightened, they are more conscious about their health, their power, their emancipation. Why should they go for more number of children? But in a poor family, a child born today, I do not know, maybe one episode of illness can take away life of my child. What do I do then if with the one child? I cannot always give the best of the medical facilities. I should go for 2, 3 children. I'll not take a chance. Mortality is high, diseases prevalence is very high. So they will go for more number of children. So when education is less, income is less, number of children is more, they're inversely proportional. So this is called a kind of a correlation. How do you measure statistically? Through a measure called correlation coefficient. वो कैलकुलेट करके दिखाना तुम्हारे दायरे में नहीं आता है. Just you know, this is a correlation study. Then the observational. What is observational? You observe your study population for a period of time. You observe, suppose you observe in a school children, what is their attendance, what is their participation in academic session, in sports activities, in coming to the class on time, etc. So this is called non-experimental observational study. So non-experimental studies are of three types. One is cross-sectional. Second one is आते हैं एक्सपेरिमेंट तो आने दीजिए, एक्सपेरिमेंटल बोलेंगे. हाँ, सो वन इज क्रॉस सेक्शनल, सेकेंड वन इज कोरिलेशनल, एंड द थर्ड वन इज ऑब्जर्वेशनल. Simple. The next structure is advantages and disadvantages. Non-experimental studies, three types: cross-section, correlation, observation. Then you give, every time you give one example and come to advantages. It is quick, easy, time-saving, and useful for comparative methods. You take one shot, compare with another group, quickly you get. कोरिलेशन कर रहे हैं, दो ग्रुप का कंपेयर कर लेते हैं, आपको मिल जाता है. जैसे मैंने एक फाइंडिंग दिया, हायर एजुकेशन में, हायर इनकम पे लेस नंबर ऑफ चिल्ड्रन है. सो यू कैन कंपेयर दिस टू ग्रुप्स, हाई एजुकेशन, लो एजुकेशन, हाई इनकम, लो इनकम, नंबर ऑफ चिल्ड्रन, कीपिंग वन पैरामीटर कांस्टेंट, अदर पैरामीटर यू आर मैचिंग. Disadvantage: causal relationship often difficult to be established. Causal relationship often difficult to be observed. Sir, what the difference between cross-section and observation? Observation is for a period of time. You observe the study population for a period of time. In a cross-section, you just go one shot and take the data. That is a cross-section. One contact. Cross-section, you are observing over a period of time. Causal relationship often difficult to be established. As I said, it is non-experimental. It is not that scientific to say that because of smoking habit, this kind of acute respiratory infection came. Might be he's exposed to the workplace, non-passive, what is called, not non-active, passive smoking might have given. वर्कप्लेस में हर कोई स्मोक करता है, वो बैठे रहता है, उसी से दुगना एक्सपोजर होता है, दुगना नुकसान होता है, और उसको हो गया है. पीने वाले का जिक्र में दम था, उसने पी के निकल गया, और ये धुआं लेते लेते बेचारे का हालत खराब हो गया. सो You cannot say that this is because of this. You cannot say that. Now come to experimental study. It experiments the impact of taking an action, then observes the consequences of that action. See, what here it's coming, it's a terminology. These experimental, non-experimental, this is coming when sociology enters into domain of health research. Then this word's coming. Otherwise, it is same, that cross-sectional, before, after. This is becoming just changing. This before, after will be changing when you are coming to experimental, when you are getting into health system research. We'll see gradually when this one will come, you will see how it is changing. It introduces an intervention, that is cause, and measures the outcome, that is the effect. Just now, I think I told you something like longitudinal, in that contact based, where an intervention, it's something like this. An intervention was given by Nobel laureate, that you give cash and observe them over a period of time and see the changes. It is an experimental. It is experimental in nature, which is a kind of that. Example, introduction of midday meal and impact of students' performance. You are introducing midday meal in a school and trying to see if the attendance has increased for the children or not, if the performance of the students in the class at the end of the year has improved or not, if participation, earlier their children never used to come to school. When they found there is hunger at home, but there is food in the school, they started coming. It's a unique and innovative program. Might be we are unable to implement it, but there is nothing fault. Even I'll tell you, in West Bengal, during this pandemic, schools were not held. But government schools, all children do not have what you call internet, mobile, laptop. This happens in these schools, DPS, CPS, जहाँ पे सब कुछ है, ऑनलाइन होता है. गवर्नमेंट स्कूल्स में तो ये होता नहीं है ना. गरीब तबके के बच्चे आते हैं, वहां पे वो क्या करते हैं, टीचर्स विल गो टू द सेटलमेंट्स, बस्तियों में जाएंगे, एक कागज में लिख के टॉपिक दे देंगे और एक सवाल भी दे देंगे. चिल्ड्रन विल स्टडी इट, दे विल राइट द आंसर ऑल्सो, एंड एट द सेम टाइम चावल, दाल, कुछ आलू, टीचर विल डिलीवर एट होम, and our food security is ensured. vis-a-vis वो पढ़ के उसको कागज भी दिया गया, एक पन्ने का आंसर भी लिख लिया, वीकेंड पे जाके उसको कलेक्ट भी कर लिया और एक कोर्स मटेरियल दे दिया. यूनिक. हवा में तो होता नहीं है, बहुत कुछ करना पड़ता है. Implementation is required. That honesty is needed while doing an implementation. स्कीम चला देने से नहीं होता है. The budget which was given in Kanyasri and implemented in the state itself is more than the budget. Honestly, it looks very biased when I'll say like this: more than the budget spent in the country for Beti Bachao and Beti Padhao. Kanyasri's budget is more than Beti Bachao and Beti Padhao. Kanyasri in West Bengal is more than Beti Bachao and Beti Padhao in the whole country. Anyway, that's a part. This is experimental studies. These are being given. Measurement is being done, and you measure the impact. This is experimental study. Good. Done in UP also, various places. Advantage. Then we come to the structure. Deciding a strategic intervention. Result of such study is specific and so replicable. Such studies' results are specific. Very specifically, I have found out, I have given such and such program, midday meal program or Manarega program or Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao program or any program to that matter, and I have assessed the impact of such program. It is experimental in nature. And I can replicate it. I will do it in one district. If I find it is helping, I can replicate it for other districts. Disadvantage. Neglect of other external factors. Say, for example, like I was telling, there could be third factor. Might be that you have spent a lot on Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao or Kanyasri or midday meal. Say, let's take for example, midday meal you have introduced or something like that, and you found that children performance has improved. And you are telling, because midday meal was introduced 2 years ago, so children attendance increased, dropout from the school decreased, and performance in terms of grades increased, and blah, blah, blah. The external factor which you might have ignored is an NGO was working in that particular, started, I mean, after this midday meal or whatsoever, an NGO came in which was wholeheartedly looking into the literacy program. Maybe Infosys Foundation started giving libraries and books in the libraries, Sudhamurthy's program, which created an impact. So you are not able to segregate that whether it was Sudhamurthy's library program or it is exactly midday meal program, or if it is a smart class, whether it is a smart class impact or it is an NGO's effort or it is a library's effort, that you cannot segregate. Because you are evaluating smart class, so you are saying over a period of time after introduction of smart class, the children dropout rate reduced, attendance increased, performance enhanced, grades went up, and so on. But the external factors, you are not able to segregate. Such factors cannot be identified. It is similar to kind of a before-after study. Now come to quasi-experimental. We have seen experimental, we have seen non-experimental. It is something in between experimental and non-experimental. Why it is non-experimental? See, in experimental, what you do, suppose I'll tell you correlational study. You have selected the families on a scientific basis. Not that you have picked up, I'll take this person, I'll take this person, I'll take this person, 200 families you selected like this. Let us say you are making a study in a block, in a countryside. In a block, whatever the population you have, family you have, you listed them and you have selected the families on a basis of random or probability sampling or something called scientific method. I'll give one example. You have a list of 2000 families in that particular block or a particular panchayat area. 2000 families you have. What did you do? You took the first family, then you took the 10th family, then you took the 20th family, then you took the 30th family, 40th, 50th, 60th, 70th. Like this, you have selected some 200 families. It could be one. There could be, it is a systematic sampling. It is a systematic and scientific and a probabilistic sampling. So, when you go for an experimental study, you cannot select at your whim that I will select him, I will not select him. He has come to me, so I will survey. The person who did not come to me, I will not survey. That, what you call, liberty you do not have, because you have to make it scientific. You are doing an experimental study. You can do something else also. You can say that those who have an income less than 5,000 per month, I'll segregate them. Those who have 5,000 to 10,000, I will take another group. Those who are 10,000 and above, I will take another group. From that below 5,000, I will take on a systematic basis, I will take first one, 10th one, 20th one, 30th one, and proportionately, I will take from each. Based on the number of population, I'll take 100%. If there is more, I will take more from below poverty line. If there is less in the above poverty line, I will take less. It's a very systematic random sampling. I mean, it is called stratified random sampling. You don't have to write this. Scientifically selected your respondents. That's why it is experimental. But when you don't select your respondent, where everybody has an equal chance to be selected, when you do a systematic sampling, stratified random sampling, or a random number sampling, everybody has an equal chance. You put your finger into a fishbowl, the number comes is 2, you select 2. Again, you put your number hand in the fishbowl, the number comes at 12, you select 12. So that's a kind of a random sampling. It's systematic selection. But when you deviate from the systematic selection, it is not scientific. All participants do not have an equal chance to be selected. So it is quasi-experimental. Okay, now let's see. Quasi-experiments are studies that aim to evaluate an intervention but do not use scientific method. As I said, random sampling, probabilistic sampling, scientific sampling, they are not using it. What they are using? Population survey is example of it. No, population is a census, 100% census, none is left out. Okay, quasi-experimental are the studies that aim to evaluate intervention but do not use scientific method for the selection of study population. So it is called quasi-experimental study. Quasi-experimental studies are of two types. One is placebo. One is placebo study. Placebo is what? Looks like real, but not real. I'll explain. It looks like real, but it is not real. And the second one is case control study. I'll come. Cross section, I mean, what is the type of population taken in non-experimental? Non-experimental study is non-experimental. You are taking up based on your objective. What is your objective? Based on the objective, you'll select the population. There is no hard and fast concrete rule that this is the population to be taken. Suppose your population is, you want to study something for women, you will select obviously women. If you have to study something related to men, obviously, if you have to select 60 plus age group, obviously you will take 60 plus age group. It depends on the objective of your study. The second one is case control study. Intervention is given to one group and the other is simply under observation. It's called case control. First you note down, then we'll go one by one. Placebo is something which seems to be real, and I'll give, don't be in a hurry. And quasi-experimental, when your respondent selection is not based on random technique, scientific technique, probabilistic technique, it is called quasi-experimental. Okay, case control study. Intervention is given to one group and other is simply under observation. You are giving intervention to one and you are not, you have another group in your mind, you are simply observing them. You are not giving, here you are giving intervention, there you are not giving anything. So your case is this, your control is that. Control means not this group is controlling this group, nothing. You are giving intervention into one and you are not giving intervention into the other. So it's called case control. Come to one by one. Placebo study. No, placebo में कोई control नहीं है. Just listen, don't be in a hurry. Placebo study. In such a study, a person is given an inactive substance which look like medicine. I told you, these are the words which are normally sociologists adapt when they go for health system research. Here, a look like medicine is given and he or she is said to be have given a medicine. हमने आपको मेडिसिन दिया है और आप ठीक हो जाओगे. बंदा खुश, दवा मिला, ठीक हो जाएगा. क्या पता ठीक हो भी जाए. I'll give an example. A grandmother sees her grandmother is of 80 years old and the granddaughter is of 25 years old. Sees that granddaughter goes to dermatologist because she had lots of black spots or pimples on the face. And after treatment, she has a very clean, young skin. She was very happy. The grandmother tells the granddaughter, मुझे भी तेरे स्किन स्पेशलिस्ट के पास ले चलना. देख यहाँ कैसे काले काले स्पॉट्स आए हैं, ठीक करा दे। नहीं दादी, तुम तो बूढ़ी हो गई हो, तुम्हारा ठीक नहीं होगा, लेके चलना। तो क्या करे, अलबत्ता डॉक्टर से पूछे, मेरी दादी ऐसी बोलती है, क्या करूं? बोले ले आओ एक दिन। तो ग्रैंड मदर वॉज टेकन टू द skin specialist. Skin specialist gave some medicine. And for mom, I mean the grandmother, medicine was bought. Then was asked, doctor, is it possible that it will be okay? Said, see, it's a placebo I have given. It looks like medicine, but it is not real medicine. It may have an impact. No, is it not unethical? Says, no, there will be no unethical, no bad impact. Then was asked, why so? Only for aged people who cannot be treated is for that? Well, no, it's not the case. A young patient of, let's say, 40, 45, complaints, keep on complain. सुनो तो सही पहले रेमडेसिविर क्या क्या लिख रहे हैं। 40s went to the doctor saying, complaining, I have a pain, severe pain. Several tests were done, nothing came out. Several medicines were given, nothing came out. Then doctor came to a conclusion that when you are 40 plus, an hormone called serotonin depletes. When serotonin depletes, the patient either becomes depressive or becomes aggressive. At that point of time, certain amount of serotoninamide or certain quantity, if given, it works like a mood booster, so it can be given. The patient was given the medicine. Being a mood booster, a hormone medicine, it worked well for some time, felt very happy. I mean, the happiness to the extent, you are all young, you may not understand. The main man was telling his wife, it was very nicely explained. You know, I never had found you are really beautiful. I never, मैंने कभी गौर नहीं किया. वाइफ बोला, दिमाग गड़बड़ हो रहा है क्या? शादी के इतने साल बाद तुम्हें लग रहा है मैं खूबसूरत हूं, कुछ गड़बड़ है? तो बोला नहीं, you look beautiful. Actually, there's an impact of mood booster. Mood changed. Wife found beautiful, expressed it. Serotonin depleted, perhaps, I do not know. Then, but that was not the real treatment for the disease. He had some problem. After consuming this placebo for about a year or so, the pain reappeared. Went to the doctor again. The doctor was at that point of time when it was very clear that it is not a psychological problem. The doctor started brooding into it, what it could be. Various tests were done. Myotonia, this, that, so many things. Nothing came out to be positive. Then the doctor said, you are not my patient. You go to such and such doctor, Dr. Pandey, such and such hospital. You go there. The patient walked in. The doctor said, क्या बहुत दर्द है क्या? Walked in straight, no problem. The doctor said, बहुत दर्द है क्या? You know, the patient sat on the chair and burst out into tears. Is it? मुझे पता नहीं, तरह तरह की दवाइयां दी गई, बोला क्या क्या दवाइयां खाए, showed the prescriptions. ओ, ये वाला इलाज भी प्लासेबो भी हो चुका है. ओके, डोंट वरी. The moment you walked into my chamber, I could diagnose that you are suffering from HLA-B27. You are positive. Go and make this test. Diagnosis is mine. HLA-B27 positive, test was done. He turned out to be positive. He said, you have only one drug, Scafo 150 mg. You will never suffer from pain. You have to take it lifelong. This was possible only when this particular psychological thing was ruled out, that he is not a psychological patient. He has a real disease that needs to be investigated. So placebo studies rule out that he is not a psychological, it is not a psychiatric drug needs to be given. He has some problem. If it is not this, then is that, either or, then it must be, and it turned out to be a case of ankylosing spondylitis, HLA-B27 positive, and when he was given Scafo 150 mg, the patient was perfectly all right. That's where is the utility of a placebo effect. Okay, let's come. Such studies are useful where there is no known alternative therapy. You do not know what should be the therapy. You keep on permutation. Oh, confusing. It is just one sentence. Placebo is given to a patient to rule out that he is not a psychological patient. He is not a mental patient. He has some physical problem. Faith in medicine sometimes cure when there is no other thing. Like I gave an 80 years old grandmother, given with certain multivitamins, started feeling good. Why is it quasi-experimental? It's a very good question. Did it adapt a scientific random sampling technique to find out the patient? No. The patient went to the doctor, he experimented it. Was it a random sampling? Number 1, number 10, number 20, number 30, number 40? No. Patients came to him. It's a purposive kind of a sampling. So it is quasi-experimental. Clear? I said when the respondent selection is not scientific, it becomes quasi-experimental. Okay. Such studies are useful where there is no known alternative therapy. It helps in ensuring that the disease is not psychological. That is the utility of a placebo study. I gave you 2 examples. One, an 80-year-old grandmom. The second, another 45 years old man who was identified with a disease, and the other one was found that it is psychological. So placebo has both the things. It rules out that he is not psychological. It also establishes that it is psychological. Such sociological studies are conducted in health system research. Okay, the next one. Structure is this. First you tell what it is, then you give an example, then you give advantages and disadvantages. It understands the link between body and mind. Yeah. It understands the link between the body and the mind, and then tries some method of treatment. If placebo fails, then some actual treatment is started on a trial basis. When placebo failed, he was sent to a rheumatologist on a trial basis, and it clicked. When placebo worked, the 80 years old grandmom was given some multivitamins. She felt very happy. Oh, this will gradually, I'll be one day looking like this young girl of 25 years. It's vanishing. Little bit of changes came in the skin, undoubtedly. Some good medicine was given, skin moisturizing, vitamin A supplementation, which helps. It helped. Grandmom was happy. It's a placebo. It's a decision of a doctor. Anyway, what are the disadvantage? Previous slide. No, not critical patient. Sorry. Not critical patient. Sorry. It is difficult to decide the actual effect of the placebo. True. It is, how can you decide that if she is feeling good, 80 years old ma'am, old grandmom is feeling good, might be she is feeling good because she has found that she is getting importance in the family. She is not neglected. She is taken to doctors. She is gone for certain tests. She is given some medicine. She is advised something which she is doing, feeling elevated. So if it is really impact of placebo or not, how do you know? That's why it is quasi-experimental. Sociologists do these studies in the health system research. Those sociologists into health system research, they do such studies. So it is quasi-experimental. Okay, I proceed. I think you have noted it down. No, it is not medicine. It is something like a multivitamin. It's something like, basically it's a multivitamin. Nobody will die. Doctor is giving, it is not yoga master giving. Anyway, now it comes case control. Study of women. I do not know which one I talked of. Observational slide, please. It will come, it will come. Don't worry, we'll get everything. Case control study. A study that compares two similar groups of people. One is given intervention, cases, and the other is not given any intervention. It is control. For example, if Abhijit Banerjee gave cash to a group of below poverty line population for a span of 10 years, at the same time he observed in that particular locality or some other locality, continuously kept on observing. J-Pal Foundation in India, they were experimenting Abhijit Banerjee's experiment. If you get into J-Pal, you will find they were entrusted with this responsibility that in one area you give this cash and the other area you don't give, and observe them. And we will compare between the where you have given cash and where you have not given cash. Try to compare, then we can come out with an example कि नहीं पैसा मिलने से शराब पी के उड़ा देते हैं. इनको भी जो दशा रही इनका भी वही रहा, जो भी निकलेगा। अगर ये बेहतर है बिना पैसे क्या, तो पैसा देना बेकार। अगर पैसा देने के बाद 10 साल में इनकी एजुकेशन बढ़ गया, इनकी हेल्थ स्टैंडर्ड बढ़ गई, इनकी हेल्थ सीकिंग बिहेवियर फ्रॉम क्वाक प्रैक्टिशनर्स, फ्रॉम हकीम्स टू दे वेंट टू अ फिजिशियन एंड दे डेवलप्ड अ गुड हेल्थ, then this NAI scheme will be better, we can do it. So it's a kind of a case control study. Cases and control. The outcome is identified on the basis of some supposed attribute. It's not like a medicine given and you give paracetamol with the watch for half an hour and the temperature is brought down from 104 degree Fahrenheit to 98.4. So it is true that paracetamol granules work for normal flu fever. That is purely scientific and experimental. But this one, it's not so. Supposed attribute that I had given money for 10 years and I had not given money for 10 years. And if those who got money, they must be benefited or improved their standard of living because I had given money. This is again supposed assumption. So it is quasi-experimental. I hope it is clear. Predetermined goal. No, predetermined experiment, not goal. Experiment is predetermined that I will go like this. I will do a quasi-experiment. I will not do very scientific one. A group of malnourished, in a quasi-experimental, I have given you a Abhijit Banerjee study. There could be many such studies. Like a group of third-degree malnourished children are given simply cereal substitution, and how quickly they come out from third-degree malnourishment, thin-built, emaciated, mid-arm circumferences, very small, belly is protruding out, weight is very less. That status within a period of 3 months with simple supplementation of cereal carbohydrates, their standard has elevated. So quasi-experimental studies are like this. It is a form of retrospective study because cases are already known. I know these are my cases. So I go back, I give this intervention, and then I compare them with the control and try to come to a conclusion. Supposedly, presumably, that my intervention has done such and such impact, good or bad, whatever it is. Advantage, structure is this. First, you explain what is case control. One is given intervention, one is observed, not given intervention. Give an example that somebody is given cash, somebody is not given cash for a period of certain time, then with certain parameters in mind in terms of education, in terms of health-seeking behavior, in terms of generating livelihood, these 3 parameters has improved or not improved, remain the same as with that control, then this giving cash is useless. If it has improved and control has also improved, then cash is useless. But if they have improved and they are remained in the same or come down, then definitely your case control study gives you a certain clue that Yes, that's why it is not scientific, correct? Quasi-experimental. It may have rare outcome, which is, it could be, rare outcome could be unthinkable exposure. When you say that they have not improved, they have improved, or they both of them have improved, you can find out what was the external factor for those control group, why they improved. That exposure will find. When you will say, I have given 7,500 per month for 5 years, they have improved. I have not given 7,500 for 5 years, they have improved. Why they have improved? That kind of an exposure will come to you, that they have improved because of this reason. Otherwise, perhaps you could not have found out. उनके अंदर क्यों आई? शायद वहां पे अच्छे स्कूल्स आ गए, शायद वहां पे अच्छे अस्पताल आ गए, शायद वहां पे कोई फैक्ट्री खुल गई जहां पे लोगों को नौकरी मिलने लगा, शायद वहां पे सड़कें एक बगल से हाईवे चल पड़ा जिसके चलते लोगों ने कुछ ना कुछ करके I'm speaking so much of Hindi. People have done something and they have increased their, this kind of unique exposure may come out. There could be some negative unique exposure also you can get, which otherwise you will not get. Only when you, आपको मिल जाएगा इतने. When you don't compare case with a control, this kind of exposure, now will be class over, don't worry, इतना 8 तो बजा नहीं. अभी 2 मिनट खत्म हो गया. Disadvantage, difficult to get control group. This is the last line. You can get case when you give intervention, when you give cash, when you introduce smart class, when you introduce midday meal, when you introduce some intervention program, you will get cases. People will come. But who doesn't get anything, he will allow you to observe. They will be in their own erratic way. They can move out, they can come in, they can go out. So it is very difficult in a case control study to identify the control group who are willing to participate for a long period of time. मिल जाएगा. Let's come to, can I take for another 5 minutes? 5 minutes. What are the merits of quantitative method? Number one, objectivity. It's a positive method. You will be taught in tomorrow's class, positivism. I mean, in the sociology of science, you will be learning about positivism. Objectivity, you touch, you feel, you observe, then you give a report. This, whatever intervention you have given it, you have observed it, you have measured it, you have documented it. There is nothing perception. There is nothing assumption. There is nothing suppose this, then that, then. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. Supposing factor इसमें नहीं है. It is purely objective. हमने दिया इतना. It's like I have given 650 milligram of paracetamol when the fever was 104 degree, it came to 98. It's so objective, measurable, comparable, observable. It's something like this. Abhijit Banerjee gave this input, 7,500 measurable amount to the case group. and kept this an observation and compared them, observed them, measured them, and finally came to a conclusion that giving 7,500 rupees per month to the below poverty line population for a period of 10 years makes them increase their standard of living by livelihood, by health seeking behavior, by increasing their educational standard of the family, and ultimately quality of life increased. It is objective. Reliability and validity. Reliable formats are used for data collection which generates valid data. What is reliability? Say, for example, here is a weighing machine, platform weighing machine, वो गोल वाला रखा हुआ है digital. I stand on it. It shows I am 70 kg. I get down. I stand on it. It shows I am 65 kg. Again, I get up. It shows I am 85 kg. Is that instrument reliable? It's not reliable. Now, suppose an instrument, I stand on it, it shows me 70 kg. I come down, again stand on it, it shows 70 kg. Again, I come down and stand on it, it shows 70 kg. Each time it shows 70 kg. So I come to a conclusion that machine is reliable, instrument is reliable. But maybe it's not valid. I'm exactly 60 kg. It is showing me 70 kg consistently. Instrument is reliable, but the result is not valid. So when I use an instrument like, say, a questionnaire for survey, each time it's showing this gentleman is introvert in nature. Several times I administer it, it shows I'm introvert in nature, but in fact, I'm extrovert. So it is reliable, not valid. But in quantitative study, if you are using reliable formats and valid formats, your result will be reliable as well as valid. Generalizability and replicability. See, quantitative data, when you are going for correlation study, when you are going for cross-sectional study, when you are going for longitudinal study, when you are going for before-after study, you have to collect a huge population data from, because otherwise your statistical inferences won't be correct. So when your instrument is reliable, when your are valid, obviously the conclusion that you find, you can generalize, saying that, for example, you correlated economic standard with practice of contraceptive. You found large study you have done across the country, and you have found the rich people use more contraceptive practices and poor people don't. With a study population of, say, 10 lakhs, like National Family Health Survey, and you can say, my data is generalizable, that with the increasing income, use of contraceptive goes up and number of children come down. It's a generalizable finding. And sometimes when generalizable findings are there, they become replicable. What is replicable? I'll give an example. In a drought-prone area of Koraput district of Orissa, way back in late 80s, when 10 years for consecutively there was no rain, there's no water, women in that tribal area were traveling 5 kilometers a day to get water. Whole day they were spending in fetching water. Government of Orissa, on a pilot basis, they said they employed geologists to identify, they identified a particular block, and they identified, after testing the soil, they identified where the aquifers are. मिट्टी के नीचे जहां पानी है, एक सुराख करके हैंड पंप लगाए. Water started coming. After water started coming, after 10 years, after such a drought, such a famine, dry spell of time, women, men, children, all were very happy. So the team turned out, went back. Next year, again in the month of April, they came to see how it is, what is the drinking water scenario in Kudumuluguma block. They came and saw all the 5 hand pumps were defunct. Why it is so? No, there is no mistri available, plumber milta nahi hai. Nearest town is Jaipur, which is 16 kilometers. When you call somebody, nobody comes for repairing one hand pump and they charge very high. We do not have so much of money. What should we do? We are poor people, we can't help. So many reasons they have showed. So it was decided, government cannot go for maintenance of the hand pumps. Some people need to be trained. 2 persons were identified. They were given मिस्त्री का तालीम दिया गया, plumber. After getting training, hands-on were done. Water started coming from the hand pumps. Again, people were very happy. See, this is a longitudinal study. I'm giving an example. Action research. More than 2 contacts. You will see how it is happening. First, this was done. Second, hands-on were done. Water started coming. The third year, again, people came to see, assess. Another survey was done to see the condition of the hand pumps. 5 के 5 hand pump defunct the. Hey, what's the reason? We have given you training also. नहीं वो नहीं दुनिया भर की ताम झाम बता दिए. So what to do? As a consultant, it is your duty that drinking water problem needs to be mitigated. ये कोई सरकारी नौकरी थोड़ी है भाई, एक बार घुस गया तो 60 साल तक चलेगा ही चलेगा. As a consultant, your job is gone. सर पीटना पड़ता है. So there was a lady with us, Rama. She said, "Let me investigate you. What you people have done a lot, geologists and other things. Now let me investigate." चलो भाई करो. She started investigating. Okay. अरे इन्वेस्टिगेशन उनका खत्म ही नहीं होता है. कभी ग्रुप से बात करते हैं, कभी बच्चों से बात करते हैं, कहीं बुजुर्ग से बात करते हैं, कभी आदमियों से बात करते हैं, कभी बीच उम्र के जनानियों से बात करते हैं. अरे रमा क्या करते हो यार, खत्म तो करो तुम्हारी सर्वे. इतनी धूप में, ये कोरापुट कालाहांडी के जंगल में, यहाँ ठीक से रेस्ट हाउस नहीं है, गेस्ट हाउस नहीं है, इंस्पेक्शन बंगलों में कुछ खाना वाना ठीक से मिलता नहीं है, तुम्हारी सर्वे चलती रही. होल्ड ऑन, कुछ ना कुछ तो निकल के आएगा. मैंने तुम्हारा मकसद तो क्या है बताओ. यू आर ए तमिल, यू आर टॉकिंग टू देम, व्हाट लैंग्वेज यू आर यूजिंग, डू दे अंडरस्टैंड एट ऑल? बट यू आर मेकिंग अस टू स्टैंड हियर. अरे यार और कहीं 2-4 और हैंडपंप लगा दो. 10 लगा देने से 5 अगर खराब भी रहे, 2-3 तो चलेगा ही. बोला नहीं, let me do. She did. And ultimately, what was her suggestion way back in 1987, 88? Her suggestion is, I have identified these 2 ladies. उन्हें मिस्त्री का तालीम दे दो, प्लम्बर का. Way back in 87. प्लम्बर का ट्रेनिंग महिलाओं को। अरे मुंबई शहर में तुम प्लम्बर आज के तारीख में कॉल करो, एक महिला नहीं आएगी छेनी मारतूल लेके तुम्हारा नल ठीक करने के लिए, शावर ठीक करने के लिए। कोरापुट के गांव में एक लेडी को दिया हैंडपंप ठीक कराने की, बोले कि इनको तालीम दो। हमने बोला पागल हो गए क्या, 2 साल बर्बाद हो गया, फिर तीसरी साल बोला करो ना यार। मैंने बोला नहीं नहीं नहीं, मैं यंग मैन हूं, मेरा नौकरी फिर से चली जाएगी, तुम यार रमा छोड़ो। बोला नहीं नहीं नहीं, 2 साल बर्बाद हो गया, तीसरा भी देखते हैं। देन सुधा वॉज ट्रेन्ड, शनि मारतुल लेके कुछ करी, खुदा जाने क्या करी, पानी निकला। फिर हम चल पड़े, चौथे साल आए, खुदा गवाह है, पांचों के 5 हैंडपंप चालू था, पानी निकल रहा था, लोग खुश थे। हमने पूछा सुधा एक चीज बताओ, ये क्या गुल खिल गया? बोला आपने तालीम किसको दिया? ओ सॉरी, इंग्लिश, आई एम सॉरी। आहा, पहले से बोलना था यार। We said, Sudha, tell me what the issue is. The one which you could not, you did it. बोला whom did you give training? ये बेवड़े शराबी, these drinkers, they get up early in the morning, take tadi, get out from the village. Where do they go? We do not know. They sometimes return in the night, sometimes don't return. Do you think they would have expected, you are expecting that they will maintain this hand pumps? We remain in the village. We know how difficult it was to bring water 5 kilometers, carrying on the head, carrying on the side, carrying on the back. Are plumbing ka talim, training should have given to us. It was a wonder, it was a gender bias that restricted us from doing this, that women can do it. Women to us were soft and sweet. That is the back of the mind. You know, I'll tell you, there was a huge, 2 minutes more, 2 minutes more. Development planning, everywhere it is. 2 minutes more. You know, recently, National Thermal Power Corporation brought out an advertisement, all women executive engineers will be taken. I mean, engineer executives will be taken. The posts mentioned were 60. I spent my 30 years with this company. So one gentleman's reaction, see, kitni badi bewakufi. What is a big blunder? In the night, in the plant, people with the lungi contractors will be walking around. Can the women go and climb in the boiler or to that shop floor of the turbine? And in the MGR, can they work? And I said, rather make your premises safe instead of barring the women to coming to the job. Are you safe? How can you make safe? No, you cannot make safe, but you can bar the women to come to the power plant. This is a mindset. Barring apart, this particular model, when Kudumuluguma was successful, was replicated elsewhere in the whole district. I tell you, this program was so successfully replicated in Koraput that drinking water problem was solved forever. That is the replicability. That is the generalizability finding. That is reliability and validity of a finding. That is objectivity of a finding. This is the biggest merit of quantitative method, is objectivity, reliability, validity, generalizability, and replicability. रह जाएगा objectivity, reliability, validity, generalizability, and replicability. Let's move to the second one, demerits. Demerits occur in two levels, at the planning level and at the execution level. At the level of execution, training of the supervisors and investigators is a must. अगर training सही नहीं है, बाद में खत्म करने दो, 8 बज गया. Some people are saying when you are going to finish. Training of the supervisor and the investigator is a must. Getting respondents on time. See, you go to a place doing a survey in the daytime, poor people, somebody went to the field in the urban area, women went as a domestic worker, men went as a rickshaw puller, or nowadays Toto driver, that battery rickshaw. You will not find. In the night they come, somebody has to cook, somebody has to do something else, somebody has to chop vegetables, किसी को आटा गूंथना है, सब्जी काटना है, रोटी बनाना है. आपके साथ बात करने का वक्त कहाँ, आपके रिसर्च, आपका परेशानी, उनका रोजी रोटी, उनकी परेशानी, उनके पास वक्त ही कहाँ. So getting respondents on time is a very important thing, and editing after the end of the field work. आपने फील्ड वर्क किया, उसने बोल दिया कि मेरा इनकम 5,000 रुपए. आपने जब फिर उसमें क्रॉस चेक के लिए कंजम्पशन पूछा था, कंजम्पशन देखा महीने में 8,000 रुपए. लोग तो खर्चा बढ़ा के बोलने में माहिर हैं. कमाई 5,000, खर्चा 10,000, एनोमली है, इसीलिए उसको उसी दिन चेक करके फिर दूसरे दिन जाके वेरीफाई करना है. सो इफ यू डोंट डू दिस, इट इज अ प्रॉब्लम एट द एग्जीक्यूशन लेवल. At the level of planning, mistakes may occur in and can give opposite results. If your things are, yeah. I am using as much as English possible. I'll do it. I'll keep in mind. Sorry. What I was saying. Mistakes may occur. Like, some studies were done, samples were wrong, NRIs were selected, and forecast was अगली बार वो गया, डूब गया वो. वाह करके अंग्रेजी बोलता है ना, डूब गया. It was a planning level. The sample that was selected was NRIs who said अगली बार ट्रम्प ही आ रहा है. Trump, not a fish. Hypothesis formulation. If your hypothesis is not correct, if you are not selecting the two variables which are measurable, say for example, eating sugar, hyperactivity is because the parents are hyperactive. You are trying to prove it. Hypothesis. इसमें क्या है? एक तो hyperactivity is a variable. It's genetic. क्या genetic करोगे भाई? Rather, it's something, hyperactivity is related to eating of lots of chocolates amongst the students, amongst the children. So those who eat more, you have a variable, measurable variable, another measurable variable. Try to do it. Your hypothesis should be correct. Deciding the sample size, deciding the sample. जिसको study करना है, men को study करना है, women select कर लिया, क्या होगा? ठीक है? Impact of contraceptive practices आपको देखना है, 60+ का आपने सिलेक्ट कर लिया, क्या करोगे? कर लो. क्या नतीजा निकलेगा? कुछ नहीं. शुद्ध निकलेगा, कोई कॉन्ट्रासेप्टिव यूज नहीं करता है भाई. So you have to have the right sample, right size, right hypothesis formulation. These are the real thing. Format has to be proper. Thanks for patient listening. We will meet. Thank you. I'm also happy that you people have give up patient listening. This is the last page, I think. उसके बाद कुछ नहीं है. Statistical inference rightly done. Don't worry, we'll meet first previous. So we'll meet again in the next Sunday. And We will discuss about qualitative methods. Is it okay? Okay. God bless you. Goodbye.